Good morning, everybody, or afternoon or evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the 12th edition of the GEO Symposium. This is the second time we do this in a virtual format, and I hope as of next year we can do it again face-to-face. But at least one advantage of the virtual format is that it's more easy for people from all over the world to attend the symposium. Currently, we have 786 persons that have registered from 83 different countries. And for those who are listening to this opening session, I suggest please put in the chat where you are from. This way we can get a feel for geodiversity. The theme for this year symposium is strengthening inclusive partnerships across the GEO work program. It's going to be the most engaging symposium with the widest reach to date. So in the coming 4 days, we will have 4 plenary sessions. We will have 33 parallel sessions and many more spotlight sessions. So before we start with the first plenary session on resilient cities and human settlements, we will have a few opening remarks. The first opening remark will be given by the GEO lead co-chair for 2021, Patrick Child, who is Deputy Director General in DG Research and Innovation at the European Commission. After Patrick, we will have the program board co-chair Tony Milner, who is a visiting professor of geography and remote sensing at the University of New South Wales and co-director of Horizon Geoscience. And furthermore, and rather unique, we will have on this symposium a few words from not one, but 2 GEO Secretariat directors. First, Gilberto Camara, GEO Secretariat Director, who will retire at the end of this month, will say a few words. And then this will be followed by Jana Gevorgian, who will take over the flag from Gilberto as GEO Secretariat Director as of 1st of July. She's currently already in Geneva to work herself in. And then lastly, Wembo Chub, Work Program Officer at the GEO Secretariat, will round off this opening session with a few symposium logistics. I wish you all a great symposium. And with this, I would like to invite Patrick to take the floor.
Well, Jan, thank you very much indeed. And it's a real pleasure and an honor for me to be part of this launch ceremony for the virtual GEO Symposium 2021. And I'd like to start off by thanking the GEO Secretariat, the program board, and the organizing team for all the hard work that you put into pulling what I'm sure is going to be a very stimulating and rewarding program for the next couple of days. I'd also like to say right at the outset a message of extremely warm thanks and appreciation to Gilberto Camara for all his amazing work as Secretariat Director over the past years, and an extremely warm welcome to Jana Gevorgian, who we all know, but also coming in now as the new Secretariat Director, and wish her every success in her new mandate. And I think I want to start off by saying that the central theme of this symposium on strengthening inclusive partnerships across the GEO work program could not have been better chosen. And this is really an ideal moment for the GEO community to come together to reflect on the recent challenges and recent progress, take stock of our current activities, but also to prepare for the future of GEO as we seek to work together in addressing pressing global challenges. And so in addressing you in this opening session, I'd like to concentrate on 3 main messages, 3 points. Firstly, I'd like to take a moment to highlight some of the achievements of GEOS in the past months and years, and highlight the ways in which we can potentially exploit these achievements in our outreach and discussion with the wider policy community. I'd then like to touch briefly on the global challenges that we are facing collectively and the relevance of GEO's work in meeting some of these. And therefore, and finally, in my third point, will be to share some thoughts on the potential future priorities for GEO's activities, particularly as we work to develop and finalize not only the immediate work program, but also the sort of strategic direction for GEO in the coming years. So my first point on some of the achievements and opportunities for engagement that I see, I mean, as I've said, the agenda of today's symposium is extremely well calibrated to help us look at some of the thematic priorities of GEO, of course, in the context of the current pandemic, but also taking an opportunity to delve into some of the technological challenges that we are facing in the domain of big data flowing from our Earth observation systems. We see the opportunity of this symposium to build on a range of successful geo activities. I mean, to take a few examples, the GeoGlow initiative, which is helping us to develop a global partnership to address the complexity of water resource management and through collaborative approaches, which in turn has helped us to develop the global stream flow forecasting tool, which provides water data for rivers across the globe in a usable and accessible manner. Another example is the Geo Land Degradation Neutrality Initiative, through which we seek to share information on repurposing damaged or destroyed land and providing insights, therefore, in how to mitigate the transmission pathways for infectious diseases like what we've just experienced with COVID-19. Just highlight a few other initiatives: the GeoGLAM, Global Agricultural Monitoring, the Global Forestry Observing Initiative, and the Global Observing Biodiversity Network, GeoBON, all well underway and showing very good results. And I think that as we build on these successes, which I'm happy to see are well recognized in the emerging findings of the GEO midterm evaluation report, we have an opportunity to reflect on how we take the results and the messages to the wider policy community. And I think this is vital if we are to sustain governmental support for GEO. We need to ensure that policymakers across our member countries and more widely are continuously aware of the potential of GEO to serve our collective needs in addressing global but also local challenges. And I hope that this symposium, through the theme that we are developing here, will also be able to feed into our reflections at the GEO plenary later in the year, because I hope that during the GEO week, we will be able to draw out some operational conclusions on how to exploit this work in a broader political and policy landscape, and at events like the COP26, the vital climate change gatherings that we will have in November. And I hope that this symposium will help us to prepare effective and meaningful communication on the work of GEO and GEOS at the COP. Because, I mean, this brings me to my second main comment about the importance of GEO's work as we seek collectively to address global challenges. I mean, we are, of course, very familiar in this community with the challenges flowing from climate change and biodiversity loss, degradation of the natural environment, phenomena which are unfortunately accelerating at a pace that requires us to respond more and more quickly if we are to deliver on the collective international pledges that we have made over the last 30 years. We really need to raise our game in implementing solutions to the necessary transformations by mobilizing communities, societies, and individuals at all stages in our value chains. And I think that the opportunity that we have as we now review the current GEO work program and start to ponder proposals for the future 2025 strategic plan, you know, this really is the moment to see what we can come up with in terms of a useful operational policy response from GEO to meeting some of these global challenges. And I believe that GEO holds the tools and knowledge to open pathways for international activity and should also, because of our wide and diverse membership, create a sense of belonging for all individuals and institutions based on principles of inclusivity, but also diversity. I mean, if we look, for example, at the disruption to agriculture flowing from recurrent extreme climatic events, you know, this obviously requires us to demonstrate and exploit in-depth knowledge and real-time solutions for adaptation and mitigation and prediction strategies. The GEO work program should therefore be adapted to ensure that the data and information collected by our community are used for the best climate prediction, adaptation, and prediction. And mitigation. And this is something which in the European Union is at the heart of our collective efforts around the European Green Deal agenda. I mentioned earlier, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic, and here too, with the GEO community, and in particular working through the GEO health community of practice, we have opportunities to show the capacity of GEO and Earth observation tools to assess impacts of the pandemic on the environment and on societies, and understanding better the role of ecosystems and biodiversity destruction in the emergence of new diseases. And I think to do this, GEO needs to develop new technologies enabling us to access, handle, and exploit the full wealth of Earth observation data. And I hope that the new GEO work program will help us to make progress in this direction based on principles of strong partnership, shared resources, and have a robust implementation plan to ensure effective delivery. I think here this symposium will be a really important platform for us to work together to strengthen existing consortia and build new ones through our work program. For example, in the new area of urban resilience, which I'm happy to see emerging as a new priority for the work of GEO, and promises us also huge potential for the future. And that brings me, ladies and gentlemen, to what I wanted to say in terms of looking for the future and some ideas for priorities for our future activities within GEO. We will see new leadership very soon in the Secretariat, as we've said. And so, you know, this is a vital moment to rethink the direction of where we want to go with GEO and sharpen our mission while building on the results that we've already achieved. And I believe that this is a really important opportunity for the GEO community to go beyond its current activities and be proactive in stimulating and encouraging the uptake of new technologies. For example, things like drone platforms, new sensors, and videos from space. And with these new tools, I hope we will be able to offer near real-time Earth observation monitoring for all, and the evolution of business models for Earth observation providers, from the selling of data to the selling of intelligent information. And I hope that as we develop our engagement with the commercial sector, we will be able to ensure that we do this in a very inclusive way, building not only on the strengths of the large actors in the sector, but also increasingly small and medium-sized enterprises. I'm also looking forward to the outcome of this symposium plenary sessions on biodiversity, ecosystems, and nature-based solutions, as well as the session on oceans and climate, in the hope that they will be able to take the debate significantly further on solutions to protect critical resources such as fresh water, food, land, and marine ecosystems. And so finally, what I'm looking to see from today's meetings is, firstly, GEO able to expand its effort in the domain of the critical need to support biodiversity restoration, building on the GEOBON initiative for biodiversity, and mapping our capacity to cope with the current dramatic collapse in the number and diversity of species as part of the post-2020 biodiversity framework. I hope that we, through the work program, will also be able to put an even greater focus on the monitoring the effects of global warming in critical areas such as high latitude regions, monitoring sea ice melting trends, but also in the wider ocean context in order to assess, for example, things like acidification and the opportunities to develop a global observation system in this area. And I'd also hope to see that we can extend the work of GEO in the area of environmental damage, such as illegal logging, dumping of hazardous waste on land and sea, overfishing and smuggling of wildlife, all of which I believe pose serious threats to our everyday lives and do not restrict themselves to national borders. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that these few introductory remarks have given you a sort of sense of the historic challenges that we as a GEO community are facing, and some pointers of some of the priorities that we would see in taking the excellent work which we can be proud of and can build of through our GEO structures and make the results both visible, relevant, and influential for policymakers moving ahead. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick, for your words. Now I invite Tony to take the floor.
Good, thank you, Jan. Colleagues, on behalf of the GEO Program Board, I would like to welcome you to this year's GEO Symposium. Some of the major opportunities of the symposium as I see them, and I'm going to mention four, are these. I think firstly, the program provides an occasion for all of us to view what others are doing within the context of the GEO family, and in particular, what's happening within the GEO work program. The second one, the symposium is designed to encourage the sharing of ideas related primarily to research, methodologies and application outcomes that will hopefully lead to improving the usefulness of Earth observation data in societal and environmental decision making. Thirdly, the symposium also provides an opportunity to identify where there may be possible linkages with other researchers whose work either complements or could be valuable in assisting you or me in our own areas of investigation. And fourthly, it showcases some of the additional resources that are available through the broader GEO network, which include the GEO portal, the 4 regional GEOs, and also some new initiatives like the development of the GEO Knowledge Hub. GEO also has a continuing engagement with the United Nations agencies and other stakeholders, including looking for ways to work more closely with the private and commercial sectors in identifying and utilising new geospatial Earth observation technologies. And now just a short note on the program board. The program board is composed of no more than 32 members. At least 40% of these must come from GEO countries and another 40% from participating organisations. The program board works very closely with the GEO Executive Committee and the GEO Secretariat, with its primary responsibilities being to oversee the establishment of the GEO work program, and we realise we're halfway through the present work program, and then to support the program participants and their activities in order to deliver outcomes that are consistent with the GEO stated priorities such as climate action, disaster risk reduction, sustainable development and urban resilience. The board would welcome your questions, comments and any feedback on any of its actions in relation to the GEO work program. If you'd like to get in contact with us, please just email the GEO Secretariat in the first instance. Finally, I would like to thank the GEO work program community for their contribution to this symposium. All GEO flagships and initiatives, along with half of the community activities and most of the work groups and subgroups of the board, are taking advantage of the virtual conference format to participate. As Jan has already said, over the next 4 days, in total, there will be 33 parallel sessions, 16 spotlight sessions, as well as the plenaries. From the symposium program, it looks as if the work program participants have already been collaborating with each other, or at least they've started a conversation, which does help in addressing the symposium theme of strengthening inclusive partnership across the GEO work program. On behalf of the program board, I would like to take this opportunity to extend our best wishes and sincere thanks to Gilberto for all that he's done in the last 3 years, and to extend a warm welcome to Jana as she takes over on the 1st of July. If I'm not acting out of protocol, I would also like to offer my congratulations and also the program board's congratulations to Evangelos Gerasopoulos, who has just been appointed a co-chair of the GEO work program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony, for your work. And then I would like to invite Gilberto to one more time address the GEO Symposium community. Please go ahead, Gilberto.
Well, thank you very much, Jan, and thanks for organizing the session. My first word is obviously of thanks to the staff of the GEO Secretariat that has worked tirelessly to get you this wonderful portfolio of actions and issues across the whole activities of GEO work program. So this week, you're going to see a huge amount of activity. You can ranging from the oceans to the coast, to agriculture, to forest management, to data management with OGC, with activities such as GeoGlows. The list goes the list is significant, And it only shows the importance and the breadth of the GEO work program, which, just as it's always important to remind that you are the GEO work program, and you are the ones who make actually this happen. A few reflections, of course, as my last interaction as director with you is going back a little bit to 3 years ago when I took the job as director. I had 3 priorities. One was to increase the link with UN organizations, because that we consider to be extremely important, given that in all of the basis for GEO is to support our members and to that extent participating organizations, but mostly members, to comply with the pledges, their commitments to UN agreements and convention, the Paris Agreement, the Nagoya Protocol, the Sendai Framework, the Sustainable Development Goals, the Convention on Desertification, and so on. So we think that we did, there was a huge amount of effort to connect better and to serve better these agreements. And we've been increased significantly our presence with UN climate change, both UN FCCC and IPCC. We had very, very improved agreements with them. We also have a major agreement with the Convention on Desertification, because through the LDN initiative, maintaining our strong links to the Biodiversity Convention. We have a very much proud of being a great supporter of UN disaster risk reduction, and the list goes on. And I think that is something that I can be, let's say, happy to report to you that this goal has been largely achieved. Of course, it only scratches the surface that you have to do more. The other goal I had was to bring demystify, if you will, cloud technologies and big data to the community. So the idea is that, look, these are not things out of the blue, these are concrete technologies. You need to learn how to use them and give opportunity for the whole community. So we are on the 100 now in terms of with the latest call from Microsoft or Amazon, from Google Earth Engine and others. We're just demystifying this technology, saying, look, you can have access to it. The third goal it's of course a much stronger goal and more elusive, is one of empowerment. As of, let's say, currently, and given that we know who the new Secretary Director is, I have at least the privilege of being the only Secretary Director coming from a developing country. And I can tell you it makes a difference. When you see the word from the south to the north, it makes a huge difference, because it makes you much more aware of the need for empowerment. We have had successful waves of colonialism in our shores if we come from the south, from the 1500s, 1700s, 1800s. And of course, now the new wave is what people have been calling the data colonialism. And to get out of this trap, there's no substitute for self-reliance and empowerment. So to that respect, we started the move to empower the communities. And by the way, this is not something coming from myself. This is actually enshrined in the principles of the Rio Charter, which is the Earth Charter. Go there to Principle 10, which says that each citizen on Earth should have the right to have information about his environment. So it's not anything particular to this particular Secretary Director. This is something that is enshrined, of course, coming from the South. You see that much, much more. So in that respect, I can say that the progress has been modest, more or less than that I dreamed, a little bit more than what was realistic to achieve. The establishment of the GEO Knowledge Hub was one step in that direction. GeoKnowledge Hub is simply a means to an end. It's a means of sharing so people can use. So it's important to the activities of Geo Work Program to have a place where they can put their knowledge. So this is covering that site. Other initiatives, which I'll also mention here, which I particularly have dear to my heart, but I like to thank Diana Mastracci for being the sort of the convener there together with Stephen, is the Indigenous Alliance. Because we think this opening to the Indigenous Alliance has been extremely powerful for Geo. So, but still, if we look at the empowerment that Geo Knowledge Hub is a one-way yet. So if we look at those who are attending this workshop, the huge majority, and it is no detriment to any of you, but the huge majority of those producing knowledge relative for the Earth, it's still from the North. And you're basically talking about 1/6 of the world's population, 1 billion. And the other billion are largely not represented here, which is not a failure as such, but mostly a call to action. It shows that we need to do much better, much better to empower countries to use the technology which is so good. And let this be, please, a message to all of you and a plea to all of you from someone who has been doing this all his life, empowering and developing countries to make use of Earth observation with a reasonable degree of success. Go for it. It's an enormous task. But again, there is no substitute. Earth will not be saved if empowerment is not there and people do not learn to use the technology on behalf of everybody. So maybe take the opportunity for thanking all that have supported me during my 3 years, which has been a wonderful learning experience. And please thank you to Jan and to Patrick for organizing the session, and with the best wishes to the new director, Jana. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilberto, for your motivating words. So I will now like to invite Jana to take the next words.
Thank you, Jan, and to everyone who came before me. Hello, Geo family. We're so glad to have you here. I know you all receive lots and lots of other competing invitations to virtual events, and we're extremely delighted that you chose to spend your evening or afternoon or morning with us for the next hour and a half. It's truly my pleasure to be addressing you today in this new role that I am about to take, largely because I get to keep all of the relationships that I have established with you over the last many years, and I get to build on our collaboration, and that is hugely exciting and satisfying. I'm also excited to build on the impressive legacy of my predecessors, going back to José Achach, who was the first person hired for this job, who got things started and blazed the trail for future secretary directors. The legacy of Barb Bryan, who was instrumental in growing the GEO community to become the impressive network of governments large and small and everything in between, and partner organizations who joined the governments in the quest for unleashing the power of Earth observations, and Gilberto Kamara's legacy, which I will define maybe in a simpler way, and that is he started a big movement to promote open science and open source with the aim to empower the national users so they can benefit from the best and the brightest of the science and research and technologies to develop their own national solutions that fit their local context. Some of you might ask, well, what is there, Jana, left for you to do? And I had prepared a list of things, but Patrick Child, I think, just grew that list by quite much. So I'm here to tell you that there is plenty still to do yet. And that's quite exciting, right? I think I will use Patrick's words, making the results of our work visible, relevant, and influential. I was going to go with accelerate the results from the geo work, but that's essentially one and the same. And I think that is really our goal. We have been working within the context of the geo work program for many years, developing tools and applications, methodologies, guidelines, principles. It is time that we really begin to harness the potential of all of this work and harvest the results and make them ready for delivery to the decision makers so they can impact action on the ground. Do you ever watch movies about surfers who prepare for months and sometimes years in anticipation of that one big event of a lifetime to catch that perfect wave and have the ride of their life? I feel like we have been those surfers who for months and years have been preparing, diligently working on our research and science-based programs. In the meantime, on the landscape, this pace of change has been just moving so quickly, and climate action and disaster risk reduction, sustainable development are no longer seen as the remit of governments alone. Business leaders, youth organizations, indigenous communities, citizens, philanthropists, social influencers, they're all joining the movement and they're all stepping up and demanding action, participating in promising action, financing action. And I contend that we, GEO, need to catch that wave. This is that wave. We need to catch this wave and ride this wave with these groups so that we can deliver the full potential of our work to impact decisions on the ground. Many of the policy agendas that are being set, they have complex interrelationships, and it is our community that's uniquely positioned, I think, to elucidate those relationships among the policy agendas at the intersection of these agendas, so that decisions and actions in the area of ending hunger do not impose and create new risks in the area of life on land or life below water. In the effort to end hunger, as we go to increase food production, would not do that at the detriment of biodiversity and ecosystems. It is our community that holds the knowledge and the ability to serve up information and insights to decision makers so that they can act smartly, make progress in one area without causing harm in another. Looking at these intersections, in other words, also in these nexus areas, is another interesting way to look at our work program, at the content of our work, which we haven't done in some time. And so that's why you will see that the plenary sessions in this GeoSymposium have been designed around some of these nexus areas, like the ocean and climate, food, energy, water. This will give us an opportunity to learn about our work through a different lens, and then to give us the foundation to package these findings into smart, articulate, strategic communication campaign. We don't really speak about communications very often in GEO, and yet it's fairly high on my agenda because, again, I think this is one way by which we can inform our GEO members about all of that potential, about all of those wonderful accomplishments and achievements that Patrick and Gilberto listed in their opening remarks. Technology is great, and I'm really thrilled that we're doing a lot to promote access to technologies far and wide. But unless we also communicate smartly, articulately, in the language of the audience with which we are speaking, we're going to have a difficult time getting our members attracted to the arsenal of the tools and the applications that we're developing for them. And speaking of members, another thing that's high on my agenda is engaging with our members. I think at the moment, it's fair to say that we have a small number of GEO members who are truly actively engaged in GEO. And I think even fair to say that many are engaged in GEO through your participation in the GEO work program, through your leadership in the GEO activities. But we still have a lot of work to do to reach the other members, because we ought to make sure that we are serving their needs and we leave no one behind. And this is going to take some time. This is going to take some effort. But I think as we look to the future, it is vital that they find anew the value in their GEO membership card. And so as we work together around communications campaign, around engagement opportunities, around new ways to reach the decision makers, I think there is still plenty to do, but we need to do it quickly because the pace of change outside of our community is definitely very, very fast. And we need to be acting equally fast so we can stay on pace and we can keep riding that wave collectively. And so I will, without further ado, I will just say thank you to all of those who participated in conceptualizing this symposium, in shaping it, and then above all, really to the Secretariat who, as Gilberto said, worked very intensively to pull off this production, rain or shine. We are a very small team here who does big things. Maybe that should be our motto. Nothing gives us more pleasure than seeing this community come together as we are coming together right now. So I thank you for being here and thank you for being GEO. Jan, back over to you.
Thank you, Jana, for your inspiring words. And also from my part, best of luck with catching that perfect wave. Before we go over to the first plenary session, Wembo is going to guide us still through the housekeeping rules. Wembo, over to you.
Hello. Can you see my screen?
We see your screen, but it's not yet in presentation mode.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, colleagues. Please allow me to take the next few minutes to guide you through the logistics. A few of you have asked me in the last few days, we have a very rich program of the symposium. How can I participate? I have registered, but I didn't receive any links. So I would say most importantly, you check everything on the symposium website. So here is a screenshot of the program. You can see several red circles. One, I want to remind you that you can actually check the program time for your own time zones. You can click on the link and you can convert it to your own time zone. The second one, you can go to the register and join button here. And you can click and put your name and email address and you get a direct link. What I want to remind you is that the link for the session will be up on the website on the date. So check the website on the date the session will be on. And the third I want to remind you is that you see there are some text alongside the program. And if you put your cursor on that, you will see like, community development or climate and health. So this is actually a category for sessions. So you can check the same tag for the theme you prefer to join. Next, I want to guide you that we have 3 types of sessions. One is a plenary session that you will have the first one very soon. For this type of session, we will use Zoom webinar. In this session, you can type questions in the Q&A button and also make text comments in chat. And the second type is the green one parallel sessions. Zoom meeting is used for those sessions. And in those sessions, you can ask questions by raising hand verbally with your video and audio, and you can also make text comments in chat. And another type is spotlight session. Zoom breakout room is used, and you can do the same as the parallel session. You can make comments and ask questions verbally. And for more details, you can go to the website, check the how to participate tab and read the meeting guidelines. And if you don't have any session currently to participate or even outside of the meeting time slot, you can still network with colleagues. And we provide this opportunity through Platform Wonder, and go to our website and just click the virtual coffee area and you will get the link to be there. You can chat with colleagues with video and audio. So this is a snapshot how that will be look like. And I would encourage you to take the opportunity to say hello to colleagues that we haven't seen face-to-face for a long time. And lastly, I would remind you that you can help our communication by following us on Twitter and use the hashtag EO for inclusion or EO for impact. And with that, I wish you a pleasant symposium and enjoy networking with colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Wenbo. And I guess Evangelos is rather impatient to start his plenary session on urban resilience. But before we go over to the plenary session, there's one more thing I would like to mention, and it's that since this symposium takes place in a virtual format, and knowing that many of you would like to say a few words to Gilberto for his retirement, we have put on the website, on one of the tabs, you can click it, you see it now on the screen, you can click on the Wish Gilberto Farewell button, and it will take you to a Kudo board online, where you can leave a few words or even post photos for Gilberto. This Kudo board will be open during the whole GEO Symposium and several days thereafter. And with this, I close the opening session and I hand over to Evangelos for his plenary session. Have a nice day, everybody.